Hello everyone, today we have a Beast Bounce control deck. Now, we know that Bounce has really risen in popularity, and especially with Kitty Pryde coming out very soon, a Beast Bounce in some way, shape, or form will likely be very common and very solid for the foreseeable future. But for now, I'm seeing a lot of Storm, I'm seeing a lot of Professor X, I'm seeing a lot of like restriction style decks that want to use Jeff. They want to use Dr. Doom to go wide and just really control the game state and the board state overall. And so what we're doing today is really leaning into that. I'm seeing either a combination of that or a combination of flood decks, and what can do well against a flood deck that really wants to put a lot of their power mainly on turn 6, a storm or control lockdown style list. And so the aim of today's list is to be able to play a few of your cards early. Sometimes it's going to be Bast, sometimes you're going to Beast Bounce your Korg, your Hood, sometimes your Black Widow back and forth into your hand. If you have the Storm package, sometimes you're going to do Storm into Hawk, and that's going to help you really to try to win that lane. A Nebula on 1, an Armor on 2 into a Storm 1/3 is fantastic. Spiderman is in here mainly as that control tool. If we lock one lane down with Storm, and then maybe another lane is locked down due to locational restrictions, Spiderman can completely lock down the board, making the opponent unable to play on the last turn. And typically, control-heavy decks have lower cube gains on average, because they're going to result in a lot of retreats. And so you have to play this one a little bit more aggressively once you kind of get your bearings. I've had a 65 to 66% win rate over a pretty wide spread of games. Now, it doesn't compare anywhere close to the average cube gains that I got from the Thor deck that I covered a couple of days ago, but overall, the deck is really good, and it does what it wants to do extraordinarily well. So if you get your lockdown components, great. If not, you can lean into your Beast Bounce to get multiple demons to flood onto the board, multiple Korgs. Sometimes you're going to continue to buff up your Angela as you pull your cards back in, all leading up into that ultimate lockdown with either Storm or Spider-Man on the last turn, so that you can position your power when they may not be able to play at all. And so with the brief deck explanation out of the way, thank you guys for being here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. What decks are you running in this kind of open-ended meta? Let me know. I'm interested to see what you guys are rocking. But we're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, first up we have Gore. And the first location is Death's Domain, which is, it's okay. We have armor. We have armor and we have Storm to be able to reach that location. We also have Spider-Man, which is going to be good. Wow, and then Vormir. I was just testing like a null death deck, and I wasn't getting, like, these locations are kind of like Sinister London when you're running a Deadpool deck. It just increases your high roll by so much that unfortunately we weren't getting those. So let's go ahead and protect our Nebula. Yeah, we're going to protect the Nebula just in case they have any kind of Killmonger or any kind of destruction tools. Craven. There is no way this man is running a movement deck when these two locations are the locations. Oh no. Owner reveals aren't going to happen in nowhere, so that kind of hamstrings them a little bit. We could lock this one down. We can then do Spider-Man on 5 here. They're not going to be able to use any of their cards. They're not going to be able to do a Heimdall. They're not going to be able to do that big push that they want to do. So let's lock it in and snap into it. I was trying to decide whether I wanted to snap. It took every brain cell in my head right now, because I've been brewing so many decks, and usually I play passively whenever I'm trying a new deck, just to get the feel for it, see how it fares into multiple matches. But it's, I mean, to get a true sense of a deck, snapping and playing it as you would intend is going to be one of the best ways. Let's go with this monstrosity. This isn't even great. This looks awful. It is what it is. So we're gonna go with this, whatever this may be. We're gonna do this. That locks them out of mid. If we are winning in mid, outside of like them moving a Nightcrawler, that great. If not, it may be a little bit iffy. They could do something like a Doctor Strange here. Doctor Strange would be so unfortunate. Okay, the Iron Fist into the Players. So Players goes into Death's Domain. Perfectly fine with that. This looks like maybe more of a like counter movement style deck. So we're gonna, I guess Chavez is our only hope in nowhere, like, because we'll have Chavez. Let's lock them out of Death's Domain. They're not gonna be able to lean into any kind of movement card. Oh no, and they snap back. How big do we think their play is? I don't think they've got it. Like, I think they're relying on like a Heimdall to win them the flooded lane, and they're not going to be able to do it. They will be able to move their Nightcrawler out, so they have another space in nowhere. Is it enough? I don't know. Oh, okay, so the Cosmo. Cosmo is an interesting one here. Can we outpace what they have? I don't know. A Heimdall is going to be 8, and so then that's 10, that's 15. We go to 15 exactly, and so then it goes down to a tiebreaker. And then I think it's a complete tie across the board, actually. If they go with Heimdall. If they go with something bigger, then we lose. Heimdall, okay. It doesn't push anywhere. We have the America Chavez. It's a complete across-the-board tie. Oh, wow. What a strange set of locations. We will absolutely take it. I wish we would have had the Hawk a little bit earlier, maybe. I don't know. We could have played this a little bit differently. We'll take the 8-cube tie. It's a high-risk tie. All right. Next up, we have Glyphotch? Glee? We have Glee. Yeah, we have Glee. Let's go ahead and do a Korg. We can then do maybe an armor into a beast, or an armor into a Nebula and a beast, just to double up all of our cards' power. So similar to like whenever you have a Kitty Pryde. Shuri's Lab is huge for a bounce deck, or just Kitty Pryde in general, once she's released. Hopefully in like a week or so is what I'm hoping for. They have a hood. Ugh. So that gives them the Demon with the free resource in the Demon, which is, especially when they play it into Shuri's Lab, is going to be tough to overcome. Because that's going to be immediately a 1-cost 12-power resource. And maybe we can lock them out of a location before they do that. But getting to that point, I think, is going to be the issue. All right, so they play 2 cards, one being the hood, one being, oh, Mind Stone. Okay, so it's a Thanos list. We're not going to be able to win this left lane. I don't think there's any scenario where we win the left lane. I'm going to go with this. We're going to pull our cards back up. We can reshift them into a different location. We can replay our Black Widows so that they can't draw. And I just realized that they get the gold Widow's Bite, which is beautiful. Beautiful from the gold. Beautiful from the gold Black Widow. It looks like they're running maybe like a Thanos control style deck. Let's hit them with the Wombo combo. We're going to do Nebula into the big house because I think the Storm is going to encourage them to play into the Eternity range. Then we're going to drop the Hawk into the Eternity range to help us win that location. And then it just comes down to winning the Nebula lane. I'm feeling decently confident, but I'm not going to snap. We don't know well enough. We're still testing the limits of this deck. We know that Chavez comes in on the last turn, which is not huge in terms of like being able to burst power out. Let's see. Okay, so the Angela's okay. We can do the Hawk to the right lane. I think Nebula gets just a touch bigger. On the last turn, we can do an Angela and an armor, which is not fantastic whenever you think about it. As long as we lock in the flooded lane, I think we're okay. I don't know if this is a Thanos control, a Thanos lockdown. I'm not sure exactly what kind of Thanos list this is. They do a Valkyrie play. So this is the like scam of Thanos, the one that wants to run a Professor X, wants to run a Valkyrie. And by having the Hawk over there, their Valkyrie was null and void. And so we will gladly take it. Do we do a Chavez in this left lane? Can they get more than 6 power in mid? I don't think so. And so we're going to focus on the left lane instead. We do get the 1-cube retreat. We should have snapped. I should have followed my gut. I should have snapped whenever I was going with this play line. We won't make that mistake again. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Oh, next up we have Fra. Next up we have Fra. The first location is the Vault, which is that's kind of decent for us. We can play Nebula there. We can then play like a Black Widow. That's going to give them a few turns to play resources into that location, but we can use a Spiderman to lock it down on 4 into 5 and then 5 into 6, of course. So maybe we go Black Widow here. Next turn we can do maybe Bast, depending on what resources we get. Doing a Bast and then, or if we get Beast, we can do a Beast and then Bast to elevate our Nebula and our Black Widow. I guess our Nebula is fine. And then Weird World. Wow. So their Quinjet is going to get unlimited value here. Just unlimited value. Unfortunate. That's so unfortunate. I'm going to go Bast into Sunspot. We do get the advantage of knowing that, kind of an idea of what they can draw. They can draw our Beast, which is not great for them. Storm is pretty good. Storm could change the vault a little bit earlier. They could get our Hawk, which would be massive. They could get our massive Hawk, which I don't want them to do. We could, honestly, we could always save Spider-Man to try to lock down Space Throne on 5 into 6. And this turn, we could just do something like this instead. I kind of like this a little bit better. I don't think they're going to cap this one out this turn. And so Spider-Man next turn should be really sneaky in the Space Throne to be able to give us that little bit of extra edge. They don't even play in the vault. Perfect. We will gladly take it. Nebula gets bigger. It looks like they're maybe fighting for Weird World. Maybe they're fighting to Flood on the last turn, but they have really limited spaces. Maybe they just duplicated Hawk. And if so, that's fine. Let's go with this, and we'll snap into it. I told you guys I was not going to make the same mistake again. They may retreat off of this, but I don't want to play it passively, knowing that I have such a huge tempo advantage. Being able to play this here, even if they have something like, I guess if they have something like a Killmonger that was in their list but not ours, they could swing this or help swing this location. The Spider-Man lane should be ours regardless, and then we'll be able to focus on our last turn play in armor and maybe an additional resource. No way did they play for the Space Throne. Oh my gosh, what did they play there? Oh no, Storm. Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. I was so afraid for a second. I thought they played like a 5 cost or something really big. But by turning it into the flooded lane, we have the advantage. We can play there, and they can't. A Doc Ock is not going to do it. Oh, they had a Chavez of their own, but theirs was a gold backed. And so we were going to play Chavez here. We have the left lane very handily locked down. We would be able to swing mid. Let's go ahead and take our 2 cubes. We'll jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have the Think-A-Man. The first location is Kamartaj, which is beautiful for a bounce style deck. We can do our Korg. We can then do a double Black Widow, so a double Widow's Bite. If we end up wanting to. I don't know. It depends on if we get Beast or not to bounce these cards back in. If not, that's perfectly fine. I think we're okay as is. Kamartaj is going to make their playline so much clunkier here. They do drop Zabu into the unknown location. A little bit, okay, Sacred Timeline is not bad. All right, I'm going to go Angela and Bast. We can then do next turn, maybe even an Armor and a Nebula. We get some benefit from, even if this is capped out, we get a little bit of advantage because we can gain some extra power over time. It does give them a very specific read on how much they need to overcome that location, but we will kind of resurge our hand with Widow's Bites, with Korg, if we fill up the Sacred Timeline first. So they do a Widow's Bite in mid and right, and then this is their card in left. Let's see what that is. The Hit Monkey. Oh wow! So we gave them some pretty solid advantage in being able to play that Hit Monkey. Unfortunately, let's go this. We're gonna cap out the right lane. We're gonna do Hood. We're gonna get 2 demons, which will help us win this location, and then we're hoping for maybe like a Spider-Man to lock down a lane, or maybe a Hawk to help further win a location or be able to swing a location in our favor. And then we do have the 2 demons, which are going to be huge in Washington, D.C. Okay, so Angela and Luke Cage. So it's a hazmat build, it seems like. Okay. So our Nebula does get into the Sacred Timeline. We do cap out the Sacred Timeline. We have a pretty solid lead over there right now. And then we do draw our Spider-Man. So how do we want to play this? We think they're going to do hazmat into Kamartaj on the last turn, right? That's at least what I think they're going to do. Let's go Spider-Man and Korg. Having the extra demon is already going to be 9, so we don't necessarily want to do Chavez because it's going to be the same thing regardless. The reason I'm capping out Kamartaj is we think that this is like the Toxic Sarah list, so the hazmat. And so by anticipating the hazmat, we're going to lock them out from here to make sure that they can't play it. The Enchantress comes down. Interesting. So really big resources in Kamartaj. And we do lock it down. They have initiative, so we don't have to worry about like a Killmonger taking out our demons. and we get some benefit there. Now, do they have reach enough here? I don't think they have enough reach in that location. Even if we had initiative, we have the armor to protect our demons. These are both going to be 9 because of the Washington, D.C. lane. We lose Camartage, but they're not going to be able to have nearly as much reach now. So let's see. We do get the retreat. I need to listen to my own advice. Whenever we're playing a control-heavy deck, Storm and Spider-Man specifically, you need to snap aggressively because you're going to put them in unwinnable positions a lot of the time. We will go ahead and take our pity 1 cube. Let's jump over into the next one, and we're going to play it. We're going to play it a little bit more aggressively if we think we have the lead. All right, next up we have go, go, go. Next up we have go, go. Next up we have go, go. The first location is Asteroid M. We do have our Bast in our starting hand, so we can do Bast into Black Widow into Beast. We also have our Hawk, which is great. That's one of our biggest ways to win is having Hawk utilized on the board. They do a Quinjet, so it looks like maybe they're doing some kind of flood deck. Let's go with the Black Widow. Next, we'll do Korg and Beast, both into Asteroid M to pull those back in. We're going to set them with a Widow's Bite next turn, since nothing is going to reveal because of Lemuria this time around. Let's go with that play line. As much early disruption with Korg as possible is going to be ideal. So Lemuria, what would they play? We'll get a little bit a better idea about what kind of deck they're running. I think it's like a Moon Zoo, a Hit Monkey deck, something that really wants to flood on the last turn. And so hopefully we can either stop them with like a Spider-Man. Hopefully we can clog them enough with Widow's Bites and Korgs that it's just not efficient. I'm going to go Hawk early. I'm going to go Hawk early. It might be wrong, but we're going to do it. We're going to send the Hawk early. We're going to play Korg outright because he is free. That will allow us to set our Nebula to 3. Next turn, we can do Spider-Man plus Nebula. Somewhere, maybe in the same lane. Nebula's not going to get huge. It'll be about 5, which is not bad. It's pretty decent in unison with the Spider-Man play as that kind of supporting role. And then any 3 and 4 cost cards actually get pulled over here, which Asteroid M is one of those that I always know it's on the board and I forget that it's there, like every single game. So our Hawk gets pulled out of the sewer system. They do copy our highest cost cards, so they now have a Spider-Man of their own. So let's Spider-Man lock this left lane. It is going to, guys, I remembered this time, it is going to pull our Spider-Man into Asteroid M. That's fine. We're okay with that. We can do the Nebula here. They could Spider-Man lock us out of some location as well. But I think we're all right. We're gonna risk it. We're gonna risk it. Because now, if they don't play in sewer system this turn, then we just win the sewer system. If they do a Sentinel, and then what is their follow-up here? Spider-Man. So we can't compete with them in Lemuria. Now the issue becomes if they have a Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi and Asteroid M is huge. We can't do anything about it because it's going to take out our Hawk. They don't have initiative here. Ugh. So the Shang-Chi is just, I think, too strong. Everything about this deck tells me they probably have it. So they do a Shang-Chi, that's 12. We have 3, 6, 9. Dang, that's not fine. If we didn't have initiative, we'd be able to beat it with the Chavez follow-up. It's unfortunate that it had to happen this way. We're gonna hope that the early and consistent disruption with Korg made it so that they can't. Maybe they have Enchantress, and they're gonna go with the 6, 12, 15 power. This would be 3, 6, 9. This would be 18. We're hoping for the Enchantress play instead of the Shang-Chi. And we're going to lock it in. Let's see. Wait. Okay, they still play for mid. The Enchantress play is what they went with, which is beautiful. Our Hawk is still 3 because of Bast. We have the Chavez, which didn't get destroyed because it wasn't Shang-Chi. Beautiful, beautiful execution. I was really worried about the Shang-Chi. I'm glad it was Enchantress. I'm glad Enchantress is a little bit more common than what it used to be. And we will gladly take the 4 cubes. That is what I was wanting to do with being a little bit more aggressive. We will take the 4 cubes. Let's jump over in the next one. All right, next up we have Wheezy 23 once again. Now, we did drop a game to Wheezy. I didn't want to extend the video too much. We beat Wheezy once when they were running the Galactus list. They switched over to what is statistically one of the best performing decks in the game in the Stature Miles Morales Hawk version of just, it doesn't have an incredibly high roll, but the advantage that it has is that it is incredibly and frustratingly consistent. Let's do Hood into Titan. We will storm the Dream Dimension next to, actually, Dream Dimension hurts them quite a bit. They won't be able to Black Bolt, and so then they couldn't have their high roll. Doesn't matter. Do we care if they Black Bolt? All right, new plan. We're gonna Hood into Dream Dimension. Next turn we will do Storm. We will do Storm into the right lane to restrict them from being able to continue to play cards over there. We can then do our Hawk to finish that location off whenever it locks down. Turn 5, hopefully and ideally, we're going to draw into Spiderman. Drawing into Spiderman is going to give us such a huge advantage here. So they have the Zabu. They probably have the capability to play a Hawk. They also have their counter cards. So they have a Shang-Chi and an Enchantress. The good thing about the list being so consistent is that it's also very, very transparent. And so it's very easy to identify what cards they have and what they could potentially play. It takes out that guesswork and that finesse that you have to have sometimes when you don't know what a deck is capable of. So they snap. They probably have a Hawk here, right? I guess they have Jeff. Jeff is another one of those frustration factors that they can just Jeff there later. They can just throw Jeff there later. It gives them an extra 3. It stops our Nebula from growing. It's just unfortunate. Jeff is one of those really flexible factors that really hurts a control archetype unless you're running Jeff as well. So they use Korg, and they do a Nebula of their own. Okay, interesting. So they can't do Jeff there, which is beautiful. But we are going to downscale with the Hawk, so not as beautiful. We're going to have to really focus on this then. We can do... This is bad. This is not great. We're going to do Korg into Beast. That's going to allow us to Korg one more time next turn just to give us that little slight lead over what they have in the flooded lane. And then it comes down to winning the other location. Now, knowing the deck, they could have... probably have Enchantress. They probably have Jeff. They probably have a few other cards. But that turn 5 is so critical in the Black Bolt that hopefully we're able to... I guess we could have played Black Widow as well instead of having to play the Korg again. That's fine. Let's go with Korg, Demon, and then Chavez. That will give us the lead here. That will give us the lead here, and then we can swing one of the other 2 locations. That's why I didn't change the Dream Dimension location, because they want to Black Bolt. This deck wants to Black Bolt on 5 to enable that big burst on the last turn in either like a Rock Slide or a Hawk plus your stature. And by not changing that location, they weren't able to Black Bolt, and it really restricts that consistency that they have. And so we will gladly take it. That was so close. Such a close call with the players pulling the Hood was huge. That's a 7-point swing. We were just barely able to hold it down. We will take the 2 cubes,